Maybe you can describe the culture at Barstool Sports. I don't know what it was like. I have a sense of what it might have
Yeah.
been like. And then we'll talk about culture at Food 52 as well.
Okay. Wildly different cultures.
That's why I want to talk about this because
Wildly
I want to
different
learn
cultures.
from this. This
Yeah.
sounds really fascinating to me and how you navigated that.
The Barstool culture, you know, one is I think there's a lot made of what the Barstool culture was like from people who never set foot inside of the Barstool culture. The Barstool culture, as I saw it, and really as I experienced it, was incredibly hardworking, insanely mission driven. Like it- we were so fortunate in that the people who had who got jobs at Barstool Sports worked their tails off, nights, weekends, 22 days in a row, like just real the work ethic and engine in that company is extraordinary. um Rowdy, like, was mostly male. um One thing that's funny about working, in a comedy brand and in an entertainment brand and in a brand where the cameras are on all the time is that everything gets punched up. So, there was a lot of yelling, there was a lot of comedy, there were people making stuff all the time. It was very messy. Um, and there were also a lot of missteps. And, I think what was interesting about the culture, just to kind of put a pin on it, is that every day everyone who made content at Barstool Sports wakes up with a blank page, and they've got to find something today that's going to make you laugh or get your attention or get you to click on something. And that's a lot of pressure, and it requires a lot of antics and a lot of experimentation to be able to do that. And it's a volume shooting game. So we were a high volume company by design. I think counter to that, Food 52 comes out of like an editorial era and, recipe development and food, which is all about perfection. So, don't release the recipe until you've tested it 40 times and it's absolutely perfect. So really different cultural orientation. The second is it's a female consumer. It's a far older consumer. It's a female founded company. It's a retail company. So, culture wise, I think I will meld the two, where the Food 52 culture will move faster, will be a little bit more chaotic, will be very hardworking, will be much more experimental. But I also really enjoy a brand designed for women, a brand designed to build products and design products of quality to be in people's home. And that isn't something you experiment with at volume.
When you set foot on Barstool Sports, were you accepted right away, or what
Yes.
was you were? Okay,
Yes.
so how did you change the culture? Because if I remember correctly, you had some nice revenue, maybe $12 million
Yeah.
when you stepped in, and you grew that significantly.
Yeah.
So the culture has to change.
Yeah.
Just that's the nature of things. And what was your role in navigating or directing the culture?
I think this is truly a CEO's job, which is that you're constantly evaluating where you are versus the scale of the business you have today and the scale of the business you want tomorrow. And the hardest part, or not the hardest part, but one difficult part about Barstool Sports was that we went from making, I don't know, $5 million in revenue in 2016 to $300 million of revenue in 2023. So it was a crazy run. The people who could make it from 5 million to 20 million to 50 million to 100 million to 150, that number was really small. Um, the unicorns. And the reality is that when your company goes from 5 million, let's say, to 50, which we went in a year, it's a totally different management team. It's a totally different set of problems. It's a totally different set of business needs, communication changes. So I really that was the vast majority of my time there, which was understanding how to navigate what the company needed, how the company needed to be structured, and what systems and pathways we needed at all of these various stages, and making sure that I didn't get caught behind where we were and I wasn't too unready for where we were going.
Yeah, there's something special, I'm sure, that existed when you came in, and you don't want to crush that,
Definitely.
right?
Yeah, we can't break that. Has to, it's like the golden egg. Like that had to be
Mhm.
carried, and I really tried to protect the biz to protect the egg from the business.
And what about at Food 52? Because you're in your first year, right? What was the culture like when you stepped in the door, and what is it like now? Or have you just
Really
been
I think
really?
really
Okay,
different.
okay.
So, I would describe the company as injured when I got there. I think the company was really injured. They had been through a lot of layoffs. They'd been through a lot of management change. They'd been through a lot of changing direction and, what I would call like a little bit of the chasing rainbow. Like there was going to, I think one thing that happens in startups is your board and your investors can put a lot of pressure on the CEO to go find the thing that's going to solve all the problems. And a lot of times it's really easy to be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go find that," versus like, "Hey, we actually have to fix, we have a system, and then we have to be running both plays at once." So I think the Food 52 team was pretty anemic and pretty injured and unsure and untrusting of where the company was, and also unsure about where the company was going. And I think flash forward, in my time, we've brought on a lot of people. We've brought on a new management team. We have way more transparency around what we're doing and why. I ask for a ton of feedback. Um, Speaking of, I have a survey out to the company right now on, hey, what are our 10 biggest consumer problems? What are our 10 biggest commercial problems? Everybody here has an equal voice. Like, what do you think is holding us back? And I don't think that was happening or would have ever happened here. So hopefully I will make a good impact on the company.
Mhm. Well, you seem to have a very refined brand. I've been on the website, and it's
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's
Really beautiful, and
beautiful.
you have
Yeah.
at
And
least
that's the golden goose, right?
yeah,
That's the
yes,
we
yeah.
can't lose the beauty. Yeah.
Yeah.